agreed with the minister, and I've suggested, in fact, it was my suggestion that we receive the presentation in this morning's meeting. For obvious reasons that I would have want these statistics to remain confidential until the minister releases the statistics later today. Honorable members, we are not going to have a very long meeting because the minister and the national commissioner has to release the statistics immediately after this meeting.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, honorable members.
Good.
Good morning, honorable members.
Good morning, Honorable
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Honorable Moss. This is not an
Morning,
ANC
Chair.
meeting. Morning,
Sorry.
morning, Honorable Shembeni. Honorable
Good
members.
morning, Honorable Chairperson.
Good morning, Honorable Meshu. Wonderful to see all of you. Honorable
Morning, Chair.
Good morning, Honorable Majosi. I'm glad you got the link. We tried to get everything sorted out on a very short notice. I'd like to thank the House Chair for agreeing to allow us to have this meeting. They took a decision that meetings will only be held in our allocated slots. Good morning to the provincial commissioners. The commissioner from Gauteng is here. We have quite a number of commissioners. Good morning to General Sitole, the national commissioner, and all our other senior officials in our committee. Honorable Whip, Honorable Siabe, thank you very much for allowing us to have this meeting. I'm not going to have a long introduction. Could I have the apologies, please?
Chairperson, I think the apology from my side would be the Deputy Minister who's held in other responsibilities.
Thank you, Minister. We received it. Honorable Meshu.
Chairperson, political parties are still trying to find each other. Negotiations are still carrying on. So 10 o'clock, I'll be joining another meeting to try and ensure that municipalities get to work. Thank you.
Honorable Meshu, the clock is ticking. Can you guys please sort yourself out?
Sure. We'll do our best.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be done by then. I'm not going to take too many questions. As I said, the crime statistics will be released formally today. Babawa, do we have any further apologies?
Good morning, Chairperson. I received an apology from Honorable Icd-Ms, Honorable Groenewald, and Molekwa.
Thank you very much. Honorable Groenewald is also engaged in negotiations. So we understand that the work will be done by next week and we'll be able to have all our members back in the committee. Honorable Molekwa is ill, so we accept the apology, and the Deputy Minister has also indicated that he's unable to join. Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, with those apologies, we are not going to do minutes today. We'll do our minutes next week. Thank you, Honorable Whip, for chairing for me. I had a family emergency, which as a mother and a single mother, I had to attend to personally. Honorable members, we will now take the minister, and then the minister will give us an indication on who will do the presentation. Good morning, Minister. You can do the introduction now.
Thank you, Chairperson, for your preliminaries. Surely wouldn't take long time. Yeah, technology now and again, it gets on our way, Chairperson. We wouldn't take the long time. The apologies are understood. The members are held in this new political arena where they get new codesas and all that. We hope they finish and then we continue with work. Chairperson, through your permission, if you permit me, I'll go straight to the National Commissioner to make the presentation through the people that will be very much close to the matters of dealing with crime statistics. For the last 3 months, this is July to September, the members of the committee will understand that we had a very bad July in terms of the stability in the country. It will definitely impact on the crime statistics, but we'll take it from there, discuss, answer questions, and I'm glad, I must say, Chairperson, that the issue of meeting the committee before the actual release has been sorted out. We're really pleased that finally we have found each other here. There were some hiccups, things have been spoken, the history of the issue well sorted out. One will thank that finally we are working in unison when it comes to this one. Chairperson, as I've requested that we don't waste time, I pass it to the National Commissioner, and National Commissioner through the members that deal with this environment will take us through. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Indeed, thank you very much for us being able to meet this kind of agreement. And Minister, we honor the fact that you and the National Commissioner were able to pull this together today. We just want to remind members that even though we have the quarterly crime statistics, will still need it to be an annual report, and National Commissioner and Minister will discuss the annual crime statistics and the necessity to do that. National Commissioner, you could start. Morning, National Commissioner.
Morning, Honorable Chair, and morning, honorable members. Morning, Honorable Minister, our colleagues in attendance. Chair, just to be in brief, in attendance, we've got the Deputy National Commissioners and as well as the National Head of Hawks. We've got the Provincial Commissioners, all 9. We've got Divisional Commissioners for the operations, and as well as section heads, including stats and research. Our presentation, Chair, with your permission, shall be led by Major General C. Kukuni. If you so permit, I'll give him the floor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, National Commissioner. You may go ahead. General Sekukune.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, and your presentation is before us. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the Portfolio Committee, the Minister of Police and the National Commissioner and the colleagues. The crime stats that we'll be presenting today covers the second quarter of the 21-22 financial year. That is the period from July to September 2021. This is just how the presentation is laid out, but I wouldn't go into that. It will just cover the broad aspects, and we tried also to group the subjects into themes, whereby for each theme we will discuss maybe the murder, then we will move to the attempted murder, all in one subject. Then, as is the norm, we normally start with the broad table, which gives us the overview of the crimes that had been recorded to the police between the said months of July to September. What I would like the committee to understand here is the fact that this is the July to September of 2019, 2020, compared to 2020, 2021. This is what we had released when we released the Q2 crime stats of the previous financial year. And this is the period that we are currently releasing. That is a comparison of July to September 2020-2021 compared to July to September 2021-2022. And this shows that the years that are being compared, this is the count difference, and this is the percentage. The count difference basically tells you whether there had been an increase or a decrease in a particular crime phenomenon. And then the last column, which is indicated in a kind of a yellowish color, shows the comparison between the 2021-2022 and the pre-COVID period. That is in an instance whereby would there had been no COVID period, how would the crime picture look like when we compare to that period, to the period where we had the COVID? The first that we look at is the murder. We had an increase of murder whereby 1056 more bodies were recorded or brought to the attention of the police, resulting in a percentage change of 20.7. If comparison is made to the pre-COVID period, that increase would have been 13.2. Then sexual offenses, we had an increase of 541, a percentage increase of 4.7. Pre-COVID period would have been a decrease of 12.9%. Then attempted murder, we had an increase of 216, that is from 4,941 to 5,157, resulting in an increase of 216, a percentage change of 4.4. Then assault GBH, we recorded 35,625 cases, an increase of 735, a percentage change of 2.1 up. Then common assault, we recorded 37,137, a count difference of 286 more, and a percentage change of 0.8. Then common robbery, we had 9,619 common robberies, a decrease of 245 cases, and a percentage reduction of 2.5. Then robbery with aggravating circumstances, we had a decrease of 1,265, a decrease of 3.9%. And overall, the total contact crimes increased by 1,324, or a 1.0% increase. If the comparison were to be made to the previous pre-COVID, we would have had a decrease of 10.7%, or 16,505 reduction in the total contact crimes. Now, the sexual offenses here in the second row is broken down into the crimes that make up the sexual offenses. We had an increase of rape of 9,556, resulting in an increase of 634. That is a percentage change of 7.1. Sexual assault, we recorded a decrease of 5 cases less. That is 1,553 from 1,758. Attempted sexual offenses, we had a decrease of 51. That is from 451 to 400. Then contact sexual offenses, the decrease was 37, a 12.7% decrease. And overall total sexual offenses decreased by 4.7, or 541, increased by 541. Now, these are subcategories of robbery aggravating. They are captured under robbery with aggravating circumstances. And here we just highlight the crimes that make up the robbery with aggravating circumstances. We had an increase of carjacking of 170 cases. That is, we had recorded 4,973 cases this quarter. Robbery at residential premises, we recorded 5,372, a decrease of 388, a percentage reduction of 6.7. Robbery at non-residential premises, we recorded 4,867, a decrease of 70, a percentage reduction of 1.4. Then robbery of cash in transit, we had 52, that is from 64, we went down to 52, a decrease of 12, We did not include the percentage because normally numbers that are below 100, when you do the percentage, they artificially show the percentages. It's a very, very large percentage. So we avoided doing or computing percentages for such numbers which are below 100. Bank robbery, we had one, that is from one, and then the case difference is 0. This cannot be calculated because division by 0 is not admissible. It would have just shown an infinite number. Truck hijacking, we had a decrease of 1 case, resulting in a 0.2% decrease. Then we also did the per capita, that is your crimes per 100,000. We only do this for crimes whereby the victim is normally a person or a human being. And then we use the mid-year population estimates obtained from Census A. We received the 2017 series using the midpoint of August to compute this mid-year population estimate, the crime rates. For murder, we had 10.2 per 100,000. It means that if the total population were divided into equal portions of 100,000, the probability of a person being killed within each 100,000 quota would be 10.2. Similarly, rape would be 15.8 per 100,000. The logic is the same of total population. If the population is broken down into per 100,000, the probability of a person being raped will be 15.8. Then attempted murder is 8.5 per 100,000. Assault GBH is 59.0 per 100,000. Common assault is 61.5 per 100,000. And common robbery is 15.9 per 100,000. And this is the comparison for the previous period, 1920, 2020, 2021, and this is 2021, 2022. You can see the trajectory there. Then continuing with the table, we had an increase in the total contact-related crimes. Contact-related crimes are made up only of arson and malicious damage to property. And we suspect that the contributory factor to the increase that we have observed in the contact-related crime was mainly fueled by the July unrest that affected mostly Gauteng and KZN. This resulted in an increase of arson cases of 298. That is, we had recorded 1,284 arson cases, and we also had 27,704 malicious damage to property cases, resulting in an increase of 1,699, a percentage increase of 6.5. Then the total contact-related crime increased by 1,997, a percentage of 7.4. Then for property-related crimes, we have 5 crimes that are made up of burglaries, both non-residential and residential, theft out of and from motor vehicle and stock theft. Of the 5 crimes that make up property-related crime, the only one that has increased within that category is the burglary at non-residential premises, which increased by 2,895 or 18.2%. Burglary at residential decreased by 3,355, 8.5%. Theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle decreased by 1,425, a percentage change of 14.0. Theft out of motor vehicle decreased by 3,379, a percentage change of 14.8. Stock theft decreased by 676, a decrease of 9.2, and the overall broad category of property-related crimes decreased by 5,940, a percentage decrease of 6.2. Then the other category, which is called other serious crimes, made up of all theft not mentioned elsewhere, commercial crime and shoplifting. We had all theft not mentioned elsewhere and commercial crimes on the increase, whereas shoplifting decreased by 23.8%. Then overall, the 17 community reported crimes decreased by 1,758, a percentage reduction of 0.5. That is, In the 2020-2021, we had 352,277 cases. In the current quarter, we have 350,519, resulting in 1,758 decrease, a percentage reduction of 0.5. Among the crimes termed as detected as a result of police action, whereby the desired trajectory is an increase, we only had an increase in the drug-related crime of 1,130 more drug-related crimes that were picked up, resulting in an increase of 3.9%. Then the graph here shows the 17 community reported crimes. All the graphs that are shown like this, let me first explain what this means. We are comparing the months of July, August, and September. This is the period that is called the reference period for Q2 crime statistics. Now, you will notice that we had level 4, level 3, and level 2, meaning in the current quarter, we were at 3 different levels of lockdown with 3 different restrictions, whereby in July, we were under level 4, which started on the 28th of June up to the 25th of July. And then in August, we were at level 3, which overlapped into July, started at the 26th of July and ended on the 12th of September. Then in September, we were at the level 2, which started from the 13th of September. Then last year, that is the 2020-2021, in July, we were at level 3, which started from the 1st of July to the 17th of August. Then in August, we were in level 2, which started on the 18th of August to the 20th of September. Then in September last year, we were at level 1 from the 21st of September. So we are comparing different levels of lockdown. In July, we are comparing level 4 to level 3. In August, we are comparing level 3 to level 2. In September, we are comparing level 2 to level 1. And then here at the bottom is the difference between the crimes that have been recorded in the month of July. Again, the difference in the crime that has been reported in the month of August, and again in September. Then at the bottom there, we have a provincial comparison whereby we look at the crimes that had occurred in the provinces for the 17 community reported crimes. Now, with that out of the way, in July, we had 103,101 17 community reported crimes committed, compared to 105,177. This resulted in a decrease of 2,066. However, in August, we had an increase of 5,109. That is, we moved from 117,678 to 122,787. Then in September, comparison of level 2 to level 1, we had a reduction of 4,801. That is, we moved from 129,422 to 124,621. Then in terms of the provincial comparison, the provinces that had recorded decreases were the Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, and the Western Cape, and the whole of South Africa recorded a reduction of 1,758, leading to a 0.5% decrease. Then in terms of the top 30 stations for the 17 community reported crimes, we had, these are the stations that were in the top 30. The variable which we filter with to determine the top 30 is the total volumes of crime that had been recorded in that particular station. The highest number in terms of volume will then be ranked at number 1, followed by the second highest, etc. So we also do the same and compare with what the particular station has reported in the previous quarter. So at number 1, we had the Durban Central with an increase of 144, Johannesburg Central with an increase of 26. We had a decrease in Honeydew of 316, Mitchell's Plain an increase of 34, and Park Road an increase of 86. And this is the breakdown in terms of how the top 2017 community reported serious crimes is laid out. What is worth also noting is that the Gauteng had the highest number of stations in there, whereby the 10 stations were from Gauteng, and then KZN and Western Cape had each 8 stations in the 17 community reported crimes. Then now we go into the detail. Now that we have looked at the 17 community reported crimes, we go into specific crimes that are mostly in the contact crime category. That is your murder, attempted murders and rapes and robberies with aggravating circumstances. Then for contact crimes, that is, it covers the crimes, murder, attempted murder, sexual offenses, robbery, both robbery aggravating with robbery common and assault common and GBH brought together and then summed up. We had a decrease of 2,140 in July. However, in August, we had an increase of 6,020. And then in September, we had again a decrease of 2,556. Now, what led to the increase in the whole of the Republic is that the decreases that had been observed in the month of July and September are minimal when compared to the increase that had occurred in the month of August. Hence, the overall contact crimes, because of the month of July or the increase that we have observed in the month of July, led to the overall increase in terms of the contact crimes for the whole of South Africa. And the only 2 provinces that had recorded decreases in terms of contact crimes was the province of Mpumalanga and the Western Cape, which had a decrease of 1,562, a percentage of a 6.4 reduction. And the overall contact crimes increased by 1.0% or 1,324 cases. Then these are the top 30 stations for the contact crimes. If one looks closely at this, you will observe that only 3 provinces feature in the top 30 contact crime stations. That is the province of Gauteng, which had half of the stations within this top 30 emanating from that particular province. And then the Western Cape had 8 stations in the contact crime top 30, and KZN had 7 stations within the top 30. The highest station is Nyanga, which had recorded 923. However, it has decreased by 6.9 when compared to the previous quarter. Then the second was Johannesburg Central, which increased by 35, recorded 869 from 834. Then Temba had an increase of 154 after having recorded 840. And then the 5th is Plessis Liar, which recorded 808 cases, an increase of 69. And then the top 5 at number 5 is Alexander, which had 794, an increase of 10. And those are the stations in the top 5. We also had decreases in Inanda, Umlazi, Mitchell's Plain. We also had the decreases in Kraaifontein, Hillbrow, Ivory Park, Honeydew, and Empangeni, and also Moroka in Soweto, recording decreases in terms of the contact crimes. Then the specific crime of murder, we had an increase across the 3 months that make up the period or the reference period from July to September. In July, we had an increase of 450. In August, we had an increase of 385. In September, we had an increase of 221. Overall, these increases made up the overall increase for South Africa, which is 1,056. And the only province that has recorded a decrease in terms of the murder was the Western Cape, which recorded 2 cases less when compared to the previous period. Then we go to the top 30 stations in terms of murder. KZN had 12 stations in the top 30 murder stations. Western Cape had 8 stations in the top murder stations, and Gauteng had 6 stations in the murder top 30 murder station. However, the first and second station are from the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal, that is Inanda and Umlazi. Then at number 3 and 4, we had Delft and Umfuleni. And number 5, we had Plessis Liar. Then when we look at the causative factors for murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH, whereby we drew different sample sizes because we are doing the analysis on live dockets. And in some instances, you find that the docket is still under investigation, and the only information that you can extract is that which is limited to you on the system. You might not necessarily have access to the docket. So that's why we normally go with a purposive kind of sampling, which at least give an idea in terms of what are the causative factors within the respective crime phenomenon. These samples are not intended as inferential statistic samples, which will should then be inferred back to the population, even though they are large samples which are borders closer to the total population or a kind of a census. They give a fair and almost accurate representation of what are the causative factors that led to the phenomenon that we are investigating, that is your murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. Most of the murders were attributable to misunderstandings and arguments that are not domestic related. This phenomenon in murder recorded 916, which is the highest causative factor that had been identified. The second highest causative factor for murder was mob justice or vigilantism, with 328 cases attributable to such phenomenon. Then robbery was the third, with 308 murders attributable to robbery. Then the fourth one was retaliation or revenge, with 237 attributable to retaliation or revenge. And then number 5 was gang-related, which was attributable to gang-related, that is 143. Then at number 6, we had taxi-related phenomena, which was a causative factors in 90 of the murders, and 33 was during the commission of a carjacking or an attempt to hijack a vehicle. And these are the similar causative factors for attempted murder and assault GBH. Then we also tried to look into the selected contact crimes against women and children. And on the left-hand side is the women that is from 18 years and above. On the right-hand side is children from 0 to 17, both boys and girls. We had an increase in the murders of women, where we had recorded 897, an increase of 64. We also had an increase of attempted murder of 1,155 cases that had been recorded, resulting in an increase of 82. Then assault GBH, we had an increase of 398. That is 11,824 cases that had been reported against women. Then for children, in terms of the murder, we had 287 more bodies or children that were murdered, an increase of 69. Then attempted murder, we had an increase of 36, that is 283. And for assault GBH, we had an increase of 61, that is 1,670 children that were victims of assault GBH. Then this is almost the same as the table that we had indicated. However, this time around, it shows the provincial breakdown in terms of what provinces experience more of the positive factors than the other provinces. KZN, for arguments, was the highest with 290. The second was Western Cape with 131. The third highest was the Eastern Cape with 127, attributing the causative factor to arguments. At number 4, we had Gauteng with 95. Then for attributable factors like robbery, the highest was again KZN with 92. The second was again Western Cape with 63. Then number 3, we had Gauteng with 36. And at number 4, we had the Eastern Cape. Then taxi-related, the highest was recorded in the Western Cape with 39. Then KZN had 30. And then we only had 3 in the Eastern Cape. So that gives you a synopsis of the causative factors by provincial breakdown from the sample size of 5,176. Then the places of occurrence of these crimes, that is murder, attempted murder, but I will only talk to the murder. The highest place in terms of contribution were the public places for murder, that is in the street, open field, recreational, resulting in 2,424 people being killed in such public places. Then the second highest was at the residence of the perpetrators, including residents known by the victim or the perpetrator, or even at friends, families, and neighbors, was the second highest contributor in terms of the place of occurrence. Then the third highest contributor was at liquor outlets, which made up of shoppings, taverns, pubs, nightclubs, etc., which resulted in 424 murders. Then at number 4, we had mode of transport with 156, that is instances whereby such murders happened either in a taxi or a car or a bus, etc., etc. So this gives a synopsis in terms of the places of highest occurrence in terms of murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. Now, having covered the general population, we go now specific to the members of the police that had been killed both in the line of duty and off the line of duty. In the current quarter, we had 8 officers who were killed whilst they were on duty, attending to complaints, etc. And we also had 15 officers which were killed off duty. Overall, in the previous financial year's quarter, we had 20 police officers that were killed. In the current quarter, we had 23. That is an increase of 3 more counts of police officers killed when comparing the 2020-2021 to the 2021-2022. And most of these murders happened in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which had 6. Then Gauteng and the Western Cape each recorded 4 murders of police officials, and Eastern Cape recorded 3 murders of police officials. Now, when we go to the murders of the farming community, we have had 10 incidents which has resulted in 15 people being killed. In the 2020-2021, we had 13 farm murders or murders of farming community And in 21-22, we had 15, that is an increase of 2. Then in the month of July in 2021, we had 3 compared to 7. In August, we had 4 compared to 8. In September, we had 2 compared to 4. And these are the circumstances under which these murders had occurred. 4 were during a robbery at residential premises. The others also happened with an attempted murder here and there. Then 1 was stock theft and was 1 assault GBH. Then victims of farm owners, that is farm dwellers or workers that were attacked by farmers or farm management. We had 2 cases of assault GBH where the victims were farm dwellers or workers and the perpetrators were farmers or farm management. We also had 1 case of attempted murder in Limpopo and 1 case of common assault in the province of the Free State. Then when we look at the specific use of drugs or enablers or catalysts of these particular crimes, specifically looking at the use of drugs and alcohol prior to the commission or during the commission of the various crimes, focusing specifically only on murder, attempted murder, rape, and assault GBH. We had that murder, we had 290 murder cases which happened at confirmed liquor and drugs were involved, meaning that the perpetrator or the victim had used liquor, and in 34, the perpetrator or the victim had used drugs in 34 murder cases. Then we had 270 where liquor was involved. Rapes, we had 1,383 where alcohol was involved. Assault GBH, 3,589 where alcohol was used. And then we had 106 cases where drugs were involved for assault GBH, 154 rapes where drugs were involved, and 23 attempted murders where drugs were involved. Now, of those that happened at liquor outlets, we had 424 murders having happened at liquor outlets, 142 attempted murders, 45 rapes, and 1,900 assault GBH having occurred at the tavern, a shebeen, a pub, a nightclub, etc., where the place is known to be selling alcohol and where alcohol is consumed. Then, having exhausted the attempted the murder, we now move on to attempted murder, whereby in the month of July, we had an increase of 21. And then in August, we had again an increase of 192. And the provinces that had recorded decreases in terms of attempted murder was the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and the Western Cape. Then overall attempted murder increased by 216 or 4.4% increase. Then these are the top 30 stations for attempted murder. Then moving on to rape. In the rape, we had a decrease of 49 cases of rape less than the previous comparative period. In August, we had an increase of 743. And then in September, we had an increase of 60 rape cases. And the 2 provinces that had recorded decreases in terms of rape was the Northern Cape and the Western Cape, which reduced the rape by 27 and 127 respective. All the other 7 provinces recorded increases in terms of rape, and also at the national level, the total count of rapes has increased by 634 or 7.1% more. Then these are the top 30 stations whereby we had the highest station there being Temba in Gauteng, which had 34 counts more than the previous period. Thohoyandou at number 2, it had 69 of the rapes that had been reported there, which was an increase of 17 counts more. And when we zoomed into Thohoyandou to try and determine the circumstances in terms of which the rape have occurred under, we found that 32 of these 69 rapes were those that can be named as the rape of a minor. That is a statutory rape, contributed 32 of those places. And when we look at the places where the rape occurred, that is overall of the 69 rapes that happened in Thohoyandou, 23 happened at the residences of the perpetrator or the friend or the victim. 9 were in the public or in the street. So that gives a synopsis in terms of how the rapes in the province of Limpopo, that is specifically Thohoyandou, had unfolded. We had 32 statutory rape, 4 were opportunistic, 3 were domestic violence, and then 2 were also happened with the robbery of premises, and then 2 were child-to-child rape, where both the perpetrator and the victim were minor children. Then the residences of the place of occurrence for rape, most of the rapes again happened at the residences of the perpetrator or the victim, which recorded 3,951 rapes having occurred in that in the sample size of 6,144. The highest province which attributed the place of occurrence to rape was KZN with 944. Second highest was Eastern Cape with 799, and Limpopo at number 3 with 456. And those that happened in public places, again, the highest was KZN with 293. 198 at number 2 was the Eastern Cape, and then the Northwest with 150 at number 3. Those that happened at educational institutions, we had 14 in the Eastern Cape, followed by 10 in KwaZulu-Natal, and Gauteng province had 8 incidents of rape having taken place at educational institutions. Then we also looked at domestic violence. These are instances whereby there has been established a domestic relationship between the perpetrator and the victim, either being an uncle, a friend, or neighbor, or ex-husband, etc. We had 136 matters whereby the victim and the perpetrator had some kind of a domestic relationship. And of these 136, 76 were female and 60 were male. Then we also had 107 attempted murders whereby 70 victims were female and 37 were male. Then in terms of rape, we had 400 rapes that had occurred were in a domestic setting whereby 382 of the victims were female and 18 were male. And this is the breakdown of the domestic violence by province and by the specific crime types. Then having exhausted the crimes whereby we covered the murder, attempted murder, and rape, we look more in terms of those that attempt robberies with aggravating circumstances, made up of 3 crimes plus the cash in transit, and the other 2 crimes, that bank robbery and truck hijacking. But for the purposes of this presentation, we focused on the 3 crimes and the robbery of cash in transit. Then for carjacking, we had a decrease of 81 in July, and then increase of August and September of 70 and 181 and in the month of August and September. Then the provinces that recorded decreases was the Free State, and the Northern Cape and the Western Cape, and overall for South Africa, we had 170 cases more of carjacking. And these are the top 30 stations for carjacking, led at the top there by Nyanga and Harare, which are both in the Western Cape. Then Tembisa at number 3 in Gauteng. Then again, Western Cape at number 4. Then from number 5 to number 10, it's Gauteng. That is GP, Mamelodi East, Kempton Park, Sandringham, Pretoria West, and Ivory Park. Then robbery at residential premises, we had decreases across the 3 months. In July, we had a decrease of 97, August 191, September 100 cases less compared to the previous period. Then the provinces that recorded decreases in terms of robberies at residential premises was the Eastern Cape with 101 decrease, Gauteng with 113, KwaZulu-Natal with 72, Limpopo a decrease of 54, Northwest a decrease of 25, Northern Cape a decrease of 4, Western Cape a decrease of 46. The only 2 provinces with increases were Free State with an increase of 6 and Mpumalanga with an increase of 21 in terms of robbery at the residential premises. Then these are the top 30 stations in terms of residential premises, with number 1 and number 2 occupied by KwaZulu-Natal province, Padukuza and Places Liar at number 1 and 2. Then from 2 to 6 is Gauteng, Tembisa, Linden, Kagiso, and Ivory Park. Then robberies at non-residential premises, again, we had a decrease across all the 3 months. The decrease in July was 27. The decrease in August was 2, and the decrease in September was 41. The provinces that recorded decreases was Free State with 45 less, KZN with 132 less, Limpopo 7 less, Northern Cape 25 less, Western Cape 49 less, and overall South Africa, we had a decrease of 17 cases less. The only provinces that had increased was the Eastern Cape with 103 more, Gauteng 21 more, Mpumalanga 45 more, Northwest 19 more. Then these are the top 30 stations in terms of robbery at non-residential premises, led by Johannesburg Central at number 1 and number 2. We had Rustenburg in the Northwest, number 3. We had the Eastern Cape, that is Madeira. Number 4, we had Durban Central. And this, I think, is the only top 30 where number 1 up to number 4 are occupied by different provinces. In most of the other crime categories, you'll find that number 1 and number 2 are almost from the same province. Then robbery of cash in transit, we had a decrease in July of 1, a decrease of 7 in August, and another decrease of 6 in September. In total, we had a decrease of 12 for the whole of the country, with the provinces having recorded decreases being Gauteng with 15 less, KwaZulu-Natal 3 less, Mpumalanga 2 less, Northern Cape there was no CIT, and then Western Cape 4 less. The increases were in the Eastern Cape with 7 more, Free State 2 more, Limpopo 2 more, and Northwest 1 more. Then we also looked at the kidnappings, and one needs to indicate the phenomenon of kidnapping, that kidnapping is not always kidnapping for ransom or kidnapping for extortion purposes, but then it happens also in instances whereby a person is being hijacked. Like for instance, if the perpetrator opens the door of your car and then points a gun at you and instructs you to drive to a particular location, that is regarded as kidnapping because he has denied you the freedom of movement. So it will be a kidnapping which happened with a carjacking. And there are also kidnappings that happen together with a rape, whereby the woman is taken from a particular place, maybe she has been locked up at a certain particular place and then raped over the course of a number of days, etc. Then in such cases, the case that would be reported will be the rape together with the denying of the movement of the person. And also in some instances, drug hijacking can also result in kidnappings. In this particular phenomenon, we had increases across the month of July, August, and September, whereby in July we had 93 cases more of kidnappings. In August, we had 175 cases more. And then in September, we had 177 cases more. And overall, for the country, we had an increase of kidnappings of 445 cases more. These were the provinces that had recorded increases in kidnappings. That is Gauteng with 325 cases more, KwaZulu-Natal with 90 cases more, Mpumalanga with 43 cases more, Northwest with 14 cases more, and Mpumalanga, Limpopo with 1 case more. The decreases were recorded in the Eastern Cape, 6 counts less, Free State, 15 counts less, Northern Cape, 6 counts less, and the Western Cape, 1 count less. Then these are the top 30 stations in terms of the kidnapping. They are led at the top there by Gauteng, followed by KwaZulu-Natal, that is in Inanda, then Tembisa. And then we also have number 4, Dalmas in Mpumalanga, and then number 5 is Umlazi in the KwaZulu-Natal province. Now, from the different sample sizes which have been drawn across the provinces, whereby we had a sample of 95 in Eastern Cape, Free State 61, Gauteng 688, and overall we ended up with a sample size of 1,620. What I need to highlight is that these numbers, or what was discovered in terms of the specific provinces, will not necessarily be comparable, which means if there are 8 hijacking related kidnappings in the Eastern Cape, it does not mean that Eastern Cape is doing worse than the Free State, because these are independent studies from independent samples that are drawn within the specific provinces.
My apologies, General Sekukune. I'm asking that you do not go into all the detail.
Okay.
You will be running out of time, and we would also like to ask a number of questions. I'm just checking if Honorable de Blanche, if his sound has been sorted out. Honorable de Blanche, are you okay now? Honorable de Blanche, do you still have a sound problem?
Chairperson, yes, I'm back now again, but I'm in and out. It's not only sound, it's also, you know, the
Honorable de Blanche, is it your network? I'll call Honorable de Blanche. General Sekukune, you can continue, but please summarize. Please give all the details.
All right, thanks, Chairperson. And these are the respective circumstances under which the kidnappings happened. We had hijacking related, we had robbery related, rape related, tax related, and domestic related. Then we also look at the broad category of property related crimes. We had decreases across the month of July, August, and September. And 7 of the 9 provinces recorded decreases in terms of property related. The only 2 provinces that increased was KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo. Then these are the top 30 stations for property related. Then stock theft, we had decreases in the month of July, August, and September. The only 2 provinces that recorded increase was Limpopo and Northwest. The rest of the provinces recorded decreases. Overall, South Africa had a decrease of 676 cases less of stock theft. And these are the top 30 stations in terms of the stock theft. Number 1 and number 2 are in the Eastern Cape, that is Solengama and Mount Frere. Then Amangwe in KwaZulu-Natal, Kumbu, Eastern Cape, Zulu, Eastern Cape, and Mthatha. And these are the summaries of the crime statistics for Q2, covering July to September. I thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you very much, Minister. General Sotole, would you like to comment before I give the Minister an opportunity? Please do not remove the presentation. We'll be referring to the slides. General Sotole.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, I can only say in brief that the crime stats reflect a better picture than the previous quarter's performance, and also further indicate that I think they complement the previous reports that we've given, but I can attribute the change of the picture to just 3 key issues. The first one is the stabilization and normalization interventions, which has been intensified throughout the provinces and throughout the country, which are also still continuing. Then you've also seen the robbery picture being green, which is attributed to the 72-hour activation plan. The private security company say that is a partnership, the Safer City and the modus operandi counter strategy. With the top 30, we're dealing with the profile analysis, the root cause and modus operandi metrics, as well as the rapid service delivery access strategy to reduce the profile weights. And those processes are also continuing. So this is what I can say for now, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner. Honorable Minister. Honorable, is the Minister still with us?
Yes, I'm here, Chair. Thank you. Can you hear me now, Chair?
Honorable Minister.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I can see the welcome.
But can you hear me?
You may.
Chairperson, am I audible?
Take question. Can you hear me?
I hear you,
yes,
Chair.
Yes, you are, Minister. If
okay.
I'd like your input.
Not,
just your
Chair,
input before we take questions.
Not much, Chair. While the picture is changing, but it will change best for us when your column 1 of your statistics changes, Chair. When the matter is still increasing that way, sexual offenses, including the rape, increases, it cannot give much comfort, whatever happens, Chair. We'll have to really work on that. With many other related issues, like the other parts of other departments of government, especially your human settlement in terms of environmental design, your lighting, your housing, your numbering, working together with local government on those matters. So that will be that, Chair. That's one. Working on rape, Chair. Maybe we will be giving the report soon to the Portfolio Committee. I think we have reached the turnaround, Chair, on the issue of the DNA, which will help us a lot to deal with the issues of rape and the assault, sexual offenses and GBV. We believe we have reached the situation where we have arrested this and we are beginning to reverse. Chairperson, the new one will be your kidnapping. your kidnapping. Well, as the police explained, the categories, unfortunately, is one kind that will make news, which is usually for ransom. But other kidnapping, which are very, very fearful, which scary people, like being kidnapped with a hijacked car, being kidnapped for rape and all those. So we, as police, we are putting that and trying to put the responses on those matters, which is a new category, as you could see, Chairperson trying to explain. And mostly it will be for ransom and extortion, but we are broadening it because it does bring fear and pain to many of the South Africans, unfortunately, not captured by media because it's regarded as not important. So that's a comment one will make at the present moment, Chair, and we are in your guidance thereafter. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable members, I'll take your hands for questions now. Honorable Whitfield. And no, I'm just taking hands. Honorable De Blanche. Honorable Thring. Honorable Thring, have you joined us now?
Honorable Chair, yes, I have just for today, however, in the place of Dr. Meshwe.
Oh, thank you very much. Honorable Shembeni, I'll take it in that order. Whitfield, De Blanche, Thring, and then Shembeni.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, it's encouraging that the Minister has made some broad comments about the turnaround in the DNA crisis. Perhaps the Minister can enlighten the committee what gives him such confidence and perhaps some detail around how that situation has been turned around so that we can then have some insight into how these statistics will be impacted by the turnaround in the forensic laboratories. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable De Blanche.
Chairperson, thank you. Yeah, I've been battling to, I was in and out. We had some cable theft in this area. And, but yes, I were able to follow here and there. Chairperson, I just want to understand or know from the police how were the sample sizes determined for the causative factors? That's my first question. And secondly, sorry, what is the status of the implementation of the 2016 White Paper on Safety and Security to ensure a holistic approach to crime prevention and crime fighting? And then lastly, Chairperson, the department must please indicate whether the crime statistics data dissemination policy has been developed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable De Blanche. Honorable Thring, and then Honorable Shembeni.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think it's encouraging to see a decrease also in certain crimes, decrease, for example, in robbery at residential premises, at non-residential premises, decreasing cash in transit heists, as well as stock theft. My first question would be, what would the Minister consider to be the contributing factors for the decrease in crime with regards to in the residential premises as well as non-residential? I can understand residential perhaps because of lockdowns, people at home, more at home, and so decrease. But what about non-residential premises? What would you attribute the decrease there to? The second question has to do with the July riots, which the Minister made reference to, contributing to an increase in crimes. Clearly, our police were overwhelmed and were unable to attend to many of the crime scenes. So my second question is, what measures then, because this also reflects in the stats. So what measures are now in place to ensure that we have proper riot control measures in place going forward? And then my last question, and certainly a cause for concern, and I think the Minister alluded to this, is with regards to the rape as well as the murder. What I picked up here is that the murder of our women and children are certainly on an increase, and there are huge percentages in terms of the increase of the murder in particular of women and children. I think it's some 30-odd%, and then 14% for women and 30-odd% for children. This clearly indicates that our women and children in South Africa in this particular quarter cannot be said to be safe. So what interventions then to address this to ensure that in the third quarter we don't see these figures going upwards? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Thring. Honorable Shembeni.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Minister, National Commissioner. I've got a number of questions to ask, but I'll try to be brief. Firstly, the capturing of crime on the CAS and Icd-Ms is the first crucial step in ensuring reliable crime statistics. Now, the Icd-Ms has been plagued by various challenges and delays as such. Now, what is the number of police stations that have implemented this system? I think I'm asking this question for a second time now. And I think if there were stations that were outstanding, now they have been rectified. What are the current challenges with the further rollout and implementation of the Icd-Ms? When will the case system be phased out, the case administration system? When will it be phased out? Secondly, with the unfounded cases, we did not hear anything. Do the crime statistics contain any unfounded cases? Did the SAPS verify all quarterly statistics prior to release? The last but not least, what is the minister doing with the non-performing stations? I mean now, the commanders on these stations, crime prevention heads. What is the minister doing? Because you'll find out that in some stations, you have got a person who has been there for more than 5, 10 years, but nothing is happening there. The crime is just going high, just like that. So the person does not care whether the crime goes high or goes low. What steps is the minister taking to make sure that if a person is appointed to a position, the person performs? And how are you rating these people? Because they are fighting with subordinates every day that they will give them 1 and 2 in the PEPs. And if you give me 1 and 2 in the PEP, what are you getting? Why are you getting promoted every day, whereas the people under you are not being promoted? How are you promoted? How are you rated? Now, lastly, there is this one of bombings of the ATMs and robberies. It's like theft in the, big shops like hardwares and
jewelry shops.
Yes, it's a trend now. They are doing this thing, and seemingly this is a group of people of more than 10 plus minus 30 with rifles and these so-called now bombing materials. What are we doing? Do we have any measures in place to combat such a crime? And I'm talking this because I've experienced this, Minister. I've seen this thing happening around where I'm staying in Gomas, where a police officer was shot dead. The bombings also happened last week in 2 opposite shops. The Patels, the hardware is the biggest hardware here in Gomas. And then Horn Africa, it's a supermarket. These 2 places were bombed at the same time. And the information says the people who were there, they were over 30. And then it would have been a risk also for our members to have gone there to try and combat crime there, try to stop these people to do what they were supposed to do. So what are we doing? What measures do we have in place to combat such crimes? How are we going to deal with these people with such firearms, assault rifles in their positions? Staying with us here in South Africa. I think that is the last one. The taverns that are not complying. I've not heard anything that something is being done with those taverns. Are they closed down or what? Because we've got taverns in our areas that are well known that they won't be closed. COVID restrictions are not adhered to. So the regulations are not followed. Nothing is being followed. They open and close as it wishes them. What are we doing as the SAPS in this thing? Have we lost the battle into the hands of these people? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, General Sotole. Honorable members, can you lower your hands, please?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And let me also take the opportunity to express my appreciation to the honorable members for the constructive questions. I will take those that are strategic, and the operatives, as usual, will be afforded the opportunity to respond to some of them. And those that we do not have information at hand, we will provide them in writing. The first one I wanted to relate to, Chair, is the white paper on crime prevention. I think at the stage where we are, a draft national crime prevention framework has been completed, flowing from the ministry, and has been presented to the JCPS cluster. And the operationalization of the National Crime Prevention Framework is a priority of the JCPS cluster. So the operationalization of this white paper has already taken off. Then the factors which relate to the decrease of crimes in the non-residential areas, I think part of the interventions which are paying a bit off in terms of these crimes, they start from the latest interventions, the country in blue, which has enhanced visibility. I think these crimes, we prevent them by being everywhere. And complementary to the country in blue, we also have the community in blue. I think the numbers of the community in blue are increasing day by day throughout the country, and they complement us everywhere. Then the security company partnership, which complements that is visibility. And in the safer cities, the pilots, the safer city technology is also then helping us. The implementation is continuing. Then the intensified crime detection processes, they help us to remove those prominent criminals within a short space of time, which complements all the interventions. Then with regard to non-performing commanders, the first thing I can say is that we've ordered the review of the performance management system to build in performance penalties. And those performance penalties, they will include disciplinary action, they will include deployments and redeployments. On a positive note, where necessary, they will include training and retraining. Then within the restructuring and reorganization, we're also taking a look at the profiles of the people who are in the position, whether is this person's profile appropriate for the person to be there. If the profile is not suitable, it suits a particular post profile, that person is taken there. The last one, Chair, I wanted to take is for the ATM bombings. That yes, we are aware of the new modus operandi. The first intervention, we have assigned the modus operandi analysis center to look at this, the analysis, the deeper analysis of this particular modus operandi. Reports that we are getting is that there's involvement of ex-military combatants from the neighboring countries. And in order to provide a response for this, we have activated the medium and high risk forces as part and parcel of the activation plan for a quick response. I think I have also personally engaged the defense, and we are discussing the fact that should there be military operatives forming part and parcel of a modus operandi, then there are instances where we will need to have an integrated approach with the defense in order for them to take the military combatants head on. The last one, there's a transnational response where we agree with the neighboring countries and other countries at both, I think, SAPCO and as well as Interpol to provide a response to these particular crimes, because the majority of them are transnational modus operandi. I think, Chair, with your permission, I can then allow the deputies to respond to some of the questions, including the head of the national, or the national head of the Hawks.
Thank you very much. You can indicate the order of your national deputy commissioners who will respond.
Yeah, the first one, Chair, we can give the floor to General Masemula, followed by General Njinga, followed by General Vuma, and the national head. Thank you.
Thank you very much in that order. General Sotole, where's your generals?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members of the committee, Minister of Police, and all honorable members. I will take the question around what is being done currently in terms of moving away from the July unrest. We have started a training that we call first responder training. We identified high priority precinct, police station precinct, where we are training members in first responders. We have already trained quite a big number, more than 7,000 members already trained from police stations, where we are also providing them with first responder resources. Honorable Chair, I'm sorry, where I am, there is construction next door and it's quite making noise and disturbing. Yeah, that's the response on that one. We prioritize police stations in terms of those that we foresee that there might be problems happening. That is those that are next to national key points, next to shopping malls, and so on and so on. So already we have trained 7,000 up to date, and we are still continuing with the training. And with regard to the question on non-performing crime prevention and station commissioners, provincial commissioners do evaluate station commissioners and all supervisors continuously. And those that are not performing, there is consequent management. Station commissioners, they will assess members and give them ones and twos, as the honorable member have said. It is because they are also being assessed and they are getting similar ratings. So that's how we are, what we are doing in terms of the ATM bombings and the robberies of hardwares and shops. We have embarked on a festive season operation which is nationwide and all provinces are involved. We do have teams, as National Commissioner have said, medium to high-risk teams that are out there and with liaising with security companies. They are doing operations in this regard, and we do have quite a number of successes that we have achieved. I think last week, Saturday, we followed there was a CIT around Captain Park where we arrested some people. And there was one in Silverton where we arrested 4 suspects with a lot of rifles and a number of shotguns. So countrywide, we have TRT in all the provinces, and TRT is part of the medium to high-risk forces that are doing operations focusing on these serious crimes that police stations cannot themselves attend to. And that, of course, include our air wing that support these forces. In terms of non-compliance by taverns, if there are areas where maybe there are taverns that still don't comply, we would love to know about those and deal with them. On a weekly basis, there's a lot of taverns that are being dealt with and closed for non-compliance. Some get arrested and fined. Some liquor get confiscated because of non-compliance. Either they don't comply with the current curfew, or they don't comply with the DMR regulations or the conditions on their liquor license. So we continuously deal with that, but if there are some that we might not have known about them, we'll be happy to know about those and deal with them accordingly. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I think those are the responses that I was able to take. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, General Masemola, for those responses. They have assisted us tremendously. Well done. The next.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. This is General Jinga speaking. Good morning to honorable members, the Honorable Minister, National Commissioner, and also the senior management in attendance. I will take a few questions that I talked to FSL and also the kidnappings. From the Forensic Science Laboratory, I can confidently say so that everything now is running smooth from the labs. The machine that was not working, waiting for the part has arrived today. They are doing the performance check. So that means all the machines are working in the labs. In the Cape Town lab, we are able to do 2,000 cases a day. Also, with the availability of the contracts, we are no longer struggling to get the consumables. We are getting the consumables when they are needed. I think we are going to outnumber now the suppliers, because we are working at a very high rate. Sometimes they are not matching our pace, but we are pushing them to deliver in time. The backlog that it was from 180,000, 191, we are now standing at 97,664. It shows a very huge decrease. We are continuously decreasing every day. So we can now say that we are fine with the labs, they are running properly. On the issue of kidnappings, we have already identified the emerging threat. I have instructed the crime intelligence commanders, counterintelligence is leading a progressive intervention plan that will take the form of intelligence-led stabilization plan, which also will be a part of the OCTA strategy. Because when we're doing the analysis, we find out the threat is not only in the country, it spills over to our neighboring countries. So we're going to also to follow the approach of organized crime so that we focus on the level 5s of the criminals. And also we are capacitating the organized crimes units at the provincial level. By 1st of April, we want to see all those units working fully. But for now, we have started the teams that will run on the identified serious crimes, because today we are sitting with the plan that we want all the provinces to establish a task team that are going to run on kidnappings, not only to rely on the one of the national. So all the provinces will be able to run. We are going to support them at that local level if there's a difficult case of kidnapping, but if it's just an ordinary one, they will be able to run on their own. But all these teams are going to be a multidisciplinary because we need to engage all the resources so that we can be able to manage to crack the cases from the beginning, not to wait that it must be done by a specific unit, but from the beginning, when it is reported, the multidimensional team will be part of that. So far, I think that is what I can respond to, because General Masebna has also responded on the issue of the ATM bombs. We're working together to decrease that kind. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, General Nzinga. We appreciate your response. The following, could we have the next response, please?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. This is General Vuma. Honorable Minister, honorable members, and the National Commissioner and the head of the Hawks, as well as the colleagues. The question with regards to Icd-Ms and case, which was asked by Mr. Shembeni, how many have we implemented at the police station, and the challenges that comes with that particular implementation. We have currently implemented the Icd-Ms at 999 police stations out of 1,157. The remaining police stations is 158. And the distributions as per provinces is as follows. Eastern Cape, we have implemented at 139 police stations out of 197. Free State is 107 out of 111. Gauteng is the whole total of 144 police stations. KZN is 156 out of 186. Limpopo is 75 out of 104. Mpumalanga is 80 out of 90. Northwest is 66 out of 83. Northern Cape Province is 81 out of 91 police stations. Western Cape is 151 out of the total of 151, meaning out of all provinces, only 2 provinces we have fully implemented the Icd-Ms. The challenges are the issue of the infrastructure, which is supposed to be upgraded, and we have tasked SITA since the beginning of last year to put together a contract. However, they continuously are cancelling the process of awarding the bid. We had a presentation and we have written letters. We even presented to our Deputy Minister last month a number of challenges that we are faced with regard to SITA, who is supposed to be putting together the contract. We even tried to have a meeting with the caretaker executive which meetings have been postponed several times. But this week we had a meeting, but unfortunately he could not attend because he left us with the very same executive that are not assisting. And the meeting ended up being postponed because they came up with no response whatsoever that was directed at all contracts that are not being finalized by SETA. So we are only struggling with the infrastructure upgrading, and the SETA is not really coming to the party. That is all in regard to the question that is relevant to me. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very
Good morning.
General Labia, thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members, the Minister, the Honorable Minister of Police, the General Tenant, the National Commissioner, my colleagues. The question that I will be responding to is the one that deals with the bombing of the ATM. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, the DPCI is also involved in dealing with the ATM bombings. It is part and parcel of the cash in transit processes. In dealing with this, we are also working with the rest of the SAPS members who normally arrive at the scene first. There are successes that have been registered in this regard, both with regards to the cash in transit robberies as well as the ATM bombings, inclusive of the position of these explosives, some of which come from the neighboring countries, as we shall have also observed recent convictions of those that came with the explosives from the neighboring countries. These explosives are used both in bombing the cash in transit motor vehicles, the ATMs, as well as in the illegal mining industry. I can record that during this quarter, there has been 34 arrests of those that were involved in cash in transit robberies. So normally when cash in transit robbery has been committed, we don't stop investigating. Some of them take a little bit of time before we catch up with them, but their successes have been registered. And I can also indicate that 2 more suspects were arrested for possession of explosives that I say were destined for either the ATM or the CIT or the illegal mining. So in addition to this, I also noted Honorable Shembeni indicating that some of the members are attacked. Obviously, these individuals get armed. I can also say that during this period in question, the second quarter, there has been arrest of 32 suspects that were involved in police killings. And maybe I can also indicate that by yesterday, one of those who was involved in the killing of police was convicted of 2 counts of murder. So, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, that is the question that I needed to respond to. The rest have been responded to by my colleagues. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members.
Thank you very much, General Labia, for those responses. We appreciate it. Honorable members, I am going to take Honorable Thring. Is this a follow-up question, Honorable Thring?
No, Chair, I think it may have been an old hand. My apologies.
Thank you. Honorable Shembeni, I'll take you then.
Yes, Chair. I did not hear anything about the unfounded cases on the crime stats.
General Satole, could you respond to Honorable Shembeni's question, please? General Satole, are you there?
Well, Chair, if anything happened to Stoles, Kukun maybe will help us.
Okay, could Sekunye please assist?
Am I audible, Chairperson?
Yes, you are, General.
Okay, thank you. I think the questions that were directed at the crime registrar were with regard to the dissemination policy of the crime stats. Yes, we can confirm that the Office of the Crime Registrar has an office of standards development and policy development, whereby we are developing policies to cover the statistical value chain of all statistical production. And among the policies that have been developed by the crime registrar includes the crime stats dissemination policy and the crime stats revision policy. The objective of the crime stats dissemination policy was to regulate the manner in which the stats will be presented and disseminated, including complying with the recommendations from the Statistician General Data Quality Assessment Team, whereby we have to develop a pre-release calendar, which we have already done. So I can say that from the crime registrar side, the policy is ready and is just waiting for the required approvals. Then with regard to the sample sizes for the causative factors, the sample sizes are not drawn in a random manner, because the idea in terms of these crimes that we have identified, like murder, attempted murder, rape, and assault GBH. The ideal situation is to have a complete enumeration so that you can be in a position to attribute the different causative factors to the whole population. However, unfortunately, because most of these cases where the samples are drawn from are normally live cases, some are in the hands of the detectives and being investigated, we normally aim to use the Icd-Ms. And one would appreciate that if one looks at the sample size for murder, for example, we had drawn a sample of 5,176 from the total murders of 6,136, which gives you an 84% sample. And that on its own should tell you that it is as close as to a complete enumeration as possible. And if you look at attempted murder sample, it's 93%. And it's also almost a complete enumeration. The reason why we don't say we will do a complete enumeration is that in the instances whereby you find item non-responses, you then have to come and impute, etc., and which is a tedious task. So we aim to do a purposive sample, which the objective is to give a fair idea from 84% of the murder cases that have been registered in terms of what are the causative factors. It is not intended to use for inferential purposes. Then in terms of the cases closed off as unfounded, we do not remove the cases that are closed off as unfounded specifically for the quotas, because in some instances, it takes months for a case to be closed off as unfounded. So in the instance, you might find that quite a number of cases would have been closed off as unfounded in quarter 2, whereas those cases actually happened in quarter 1. So it would then mean that you have to go back to Q1 crime stats and close those statistics off as unfounded. And that is where the revision policy comes in, which allows us to revise the stats that had already been published. However, to compensate for that, we planned on doing an annual report, where the annual report we would have had ample time to log all those cases that had been closed off as unfounded, review them, and then finalize in terms of whether were they indeed unfounded or not, and produce the annual report. And as we speak now, the annual report has been tabled in Parliament. However, we requested that it be embargoed until such time that the Minister of Police has released it. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I'm not going to take any further questions. If you do, kindly please send them to us and we'll send them to the Minister and to the National Commissioner. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of the session today. Honorable Minister, this is a very good start. I think we can refine the processes of our questions. There's a number of questions that I think are policy issues that we need to relate to, as well as some of them being our committees kind of processing of some of these statistics. So General Sithole, we are going to engage at the further stage. We'll engage on matters like the Statistician General, how these stats are being verified, our population data, the per capita ratios of contact crimes. I'm also requesting, Honorable Minister, that SAPS be encouraged to release their annual crime statistics in conjunction with the quarterly statistics. This will also have a positive impact on our crime trend analysis and transparency. Minister, we would like to have our annual crime statistics, and we can discuss that in another portfolio committee meeting. For now, Minister, we know that we've kept you quite long and that you have to prepare for the release of the statistics for the public. Honorable Minister, before I conclude the meeting, I wish you well for the events which as they unfold today. I'll give you one last opportunity, Minister, and then I'll conclude the meeting and close the meeting. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and the honorable members and the management. Chairperson, I would concur that the start has been good. We need to fine-tune many things. It must be remembered also that the questions that you raise here, they sharpen us. There are many things that we implement after those questions have been raised. And sometimes they sound very robust and as if they are at war with us. And I must tell you that we work on those things and we do find turnarounds from those questions. One of those is this DNA issue, Chairperson. And the General Njinga tried to give us the synopsis of what is happening. Much has happened. I know that is very close to the heart of the Honorable Member Whitfield, this matter. Mr. Whitfield, that environment has worked very hard. I think we have spent a lot of time on it with the management. The Deputy Minister, unfortunately, was absent here, made a lot of contribution there. Spending a lot of time in laboratories, practically, both Western Cape and Gauteng. One thing that has put the issue on the roll, we have gone out and brought all people that have worked with us, of the interns. There were 24 of them. We have 20. We have extended hours. We're not doing 8, we're doing 16. The cubicles where submissions are done are forever on. When you will find nobody now, you find people. The contracts are all on. The things just there, the sharing of resources between Pretoria and Western Cape, working very well. We found the money for the overtime for people to be there. The last figure I got a week ago, overall, not just those that were backlogged, but overall, including the new. At one time, we were 240. Now we're 216, going down, which will augurs well for the issues of gender-based violence and all that. So I think a lot of shoulder, and many of them have been put on that one. Chairperson, the Honorable Shambeni and the Ship-ins. I've gone to many communities. Really, we spend more time in communities. Mr. Shambeni, all communities we go, including Limpopo last week at Ntlwa, Ship-ins are more than any other institution and amnesty. Ship-ins are more than schools, churches, clinics, spazas put together. It doesn't matter which community you go to, whether it's Umlazi, whether it's Limpopo, as I say, Lebohomo, whether it's here in Gauteng Orange Farm. That's one problem. The major problem are other structures here. Your councils, your liquor boards, who really do not put any measures on this. Even the so-called legal shipping, they overwhelm communities. So it's one area where we want to be assisted even by the members of parliament. For we don't have an overarching act on the question of liquor. Every province, they have their own, and indeed it gives a serious problem for the police. For instance, Gauteng, they've got 16 laws that govern their alcohol. For instance, in Western Cape, it's not illegal so long you have 159 liters you can sell without the license. And what they do, they only buy 149 and not 150. And then you don't look that as committing crime. So these are the things that we'll have to really come and work to say alcohol, it does contribute on high rate of crime, therefore it needs to be better controlled. We'll be coming back on that one. I thought members would have picked this one up, Chairperson, that for some reason, Western Cape is green in all categories. Western Cape is green in all categories. I thought that people pick that up and then find the reason why. We have argued and we are continuing to work. The resources that have been put there are beginning to yield good returns. So it's not automatic, it's because work has been done. But we take your guidance and your counseling chair that says many other things we'll be dealing with going forward to fine-tune our statistics, but also to give answers and find responses on the high matter of women, high matter of children, and as the member has raised it, that is discomforting. We can't live with that situation without putting more effort to make sure that we have turnaround on that. Thank you very much, Chair.
Minister, kindly again accept the appreciation from the chairperson and the members of the committee for the presentation and coming to the committee. We know that we do put you under pressure. We do our work and take our role of oversight very seriously. We have now established a manner in which we meet regularly. The minister, deputy minister, the national commissioner, the whip, and the chairperson have now agreed to meet regularly. We do not have to fight our battles in public. We have sorted out a number of problems which we do have. We can manage these problems, Minister, as you have said. We are not fighting you. We are doing our work as an oversight committee of Parliament. It's our constitutional responsibility to do so. We take the matter of crime statistics very seriously, particularly in the different provinces. And as you said, Minister, Western Cape has been doing very well. Provincial commissioners, we thank you for always assisting us and for being available for the members when they do visit their provinces. Honorable Minister General Kers, a National Commissioner, General Kers is always available to assist me when I go to the Northern Cape. As you know, I'm from the Northern Cape, and poor General Kers has to respond to me very regularly. And it's not because I have a bias. There are a number of provincial commissioners that I do contact regularly. I contact them directly, and they've always been available to respond to me. Minister, we allow you now to continue with your processes of releasing the crime statistics. Honorable members, thank you very much for attending. We wish you well, and we'll engage with you on the process matters at a later stage. Honorable members, the meeting is now adjourned. General Sotole, thank you to your team, all your deputy national commissioners. I appreciate the work you're doing. Minister, when I was receiving the Auditor General's report, I was complimenting your department, and people really didn't like the fact that I complimented you. I found it very strange because, Minister, we do realize that we have a long way to go. We do have our challenges, but when there's even one success story, we acknowledge your success stories. We are not here only to fight or to squabble over things. When we do have an indication that there's movement, Honorable Minister, National Commissioner, will acknowledge the good work which is done. So thank you very much. Minister, as we have agreed, we'll be meeting regularly with you and the National Commissioner. And again, where the compliments are due, we give you those compliments. And we thank you because we know that you're doing this work under very difficult circumstances. Minister, the meeting is now adjourned. Honorable members, the meeting is now adjourned.
Chair.
Thank you very much, Whoop. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Peacock.
Thank you, Chair.
Much.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Whoop. Thank you,
Thank
to
you.
Oh,
Thank you,
honorable
Chair.
members, we'll send you the presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you,
Appreciate it.
General
Thank
Vuma.
you.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Shembeni.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Now, Shembeni, you must be happy, ne? That
I'm happy.
the crime stats are now coming to you.
I'm happy. I'm happy, Chair. I'm very, very happy. Thank you, Honorable
Thank you,
Minister.
Chair, again.
Thank you.